Welcome to Thrive Vision with your host, Dr. Stephanie Ballman.
Hey guys, it's Dr. B here, and today we're going to be talking about distilled water. Your RO water, that spring water that you're drinking, is making you sick. Truth bomb, your RO water is making you sick. I think there's a lot of different potentially stigmas around distilled water. I think a lot of people think, well, if I drink that, I'm going to be depleting minerals and RO water is best, or that spring water that I'm getting, that is best. And there's a lot of misinformation, I think, about water. So what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about distilled water and why you should be drinking it and why it is a better quality water for you and for your animals in your household versus the tap water, the RO water, and the spring water that people are drinking. So, tap water is loaded with heavy metals, chemicals, medications, all kinds of things. And it's not that RO water or the spring water isn't. They are. Sometimes they can be less because it does get filtered some. But really, the big premise here is that it's not pure water, okay? And distilled water is totally pure water. So how does distillation work? Let's kind of talk about that first, and then we can kind of go back through some of these other ideas. So with a high quality distiller, you fill a tank with tap water, okay? And then the distiller is plugged in, it heats up, and then it goes through some coils. So it gets hot enough, it becomes steam. That steam gets cooled through some coils, and then as it cools, it becomes more dense, and so it falls back through another carbon filter and is filtered even further, and then it collects in a separate tank. And then you can drink this now distilled water, which is great. I drink distilled water. I've been drinking it for years. I feel amazing drinking distilled water. All of my animals drink distilled water. Cats, dogs, they all drink distilled. And the reason is because it is pure water. There are no toxins. And for the people who are saying, well, but what about your minerals? If you want to remineralize your water, by all means, go ahead. I don't. And the reason that I don't is because your mineral consumption should not be coming from your water. Your mineral consumption should be coming from the foods that you are eating. If you are eating close to nature and you're eating high quality foods, then you're going to be getting the minerals that you need. On top of that, or in addition to, I guess I should say, sometimes there are other things that can be stripping minerals from your body. There could be, maybe you have an absorption issue, right? You're not absorbing things. Okay, well, we need to look at the gut and see, why is this happening? Maybe your liver isn't converting well. Maybe your kidneys aren't filtering like they should be filtering. And so there can still be issues, but the issue could be separate from you're just not absorbing correctly, right? Or there's another issue. It's not necessarily because you're drinking distilled water, right? Because the minerals should be coming from your food, not from your water. Let's take a look at the tap water. Okay, so I think everybody knows that tap water isn't great water, and I do understand that in some areas of the world, that's what they get. And it is better than not, but if you have the option, if you are able to, try to choose a better water. Because when you can choose a better water, you're going to improve your health. Hands down. It's just the way that it is. And the reason is because it is pure water and it's not full of toxins. You get out the bacteria, you get out I'm going to air quote this for those of you that aren't watching, viruses. You're going to get out parasites, right? We're killing stuff. It's getting filtered, and then we're having a better water. You do need to keep that carbon filter. You need to change it out. You need to descale the tank every once in a while, and of course, keep things clean, right? But it is a much better water, and it's going to improve your health. It's going to help improve your energy because your body is getting more of the right things that it needs versus the water plus the toxins, and then it's having to work to overcome handling the toxins that are in the water. So tap water, let's go back to that. Tap water, it's going to be full of chemicals, heavy metals, medications, bacteria, viruses, all kinds of things. Think about when the water system in your area that like the city or the county has, sometimes they'll put you on a boil notice because something within that system went wrong. Why are you boiling it? You're boiling it to get rid of some of the, I'm gonna quote bugs here, right? Some of the different bugs. So that could be bacteria, that could be viruses, different things, environmental factors from a buggy standpoint that could impede your health, right? We don't want people getting sick. And so that's why you boil it. With distilled water, you don't have to do that. So with tap water, they'll put you on that boil notice, and that's because they're trying to keep your body healthier, and you don't need to consume those toxins anyway. With spring water, with RO water, it is a higher quality water, but it's still full of toxins and chemicals and heavy metals. The process through which those are created, there are still toxins in that water. And then you're still consuming those toxins, and your body is having to work to get rid of those toxins. So you're kind of having to heal twice. I say this a lot with medication. When people are taking medication, they have to heal 2 times. They have to heal once from the thing that is causing them dis-ease, and then they have to heal from the medication as well. This is a very similar idea. When you're drinking toxic water, your body is having to, because you're putting the toxins in, you're having to heal from the toxins that you are now consuming. So you're kind of having to heal twice. Some people, a lot of questions I get is, well, what about shower? What about, different things like that? There are systems that you can have a full distillation for your house, but usually a shower is quick enough, and the skin is your largest organ, and it is very absorbable. It is like a sponge, but it's the drinking, right? The drinking is really where we need to change our water. Now, if you want to go all out and do distillation for the whole home, and that's something that you can do, great. Do that, because it is going to be higher quality overall for your entire body. But if you can get the distilled water in, that's the way to go for drinking purposes. One thing that I do want to mention is pet health as well. As I am a pet health coach, I also do body work on animals. I work chiropractically on animals. There's a lot of different things that I do with animals, and so I think it's important to bring them in too, because they are part of your home. They are going to be drinking water, right? Water is necessary for life. People with large stock animals, tank water, whatever they're using, okay, great. I understand that, we can't have large vats full of distilled water for our equine friends or our steers or whatever, and that's okay, right? We got to do what we can as best as we can until we know better or until we can do better. But your pets at home, give them distilled water too. If you need to remineralize and you feel like that is something that you really just have to do, great. There's several different ways to do that. But remember that animals' bodies, their physiology is different from humans, right? And so a dog, and even within breeds, right? Dogs are going to have a different physiology than cats. Cats do really well on distilled water. There could be some kidney issues that your cat is having, or bladder issues that your cat is having, and it could come back to they need a change in water, right? They need to be drinking the distilled water versus the tap water that they're getting. And really, a lot of the cat's liquid should be coming from the diet that they're on. So when they're eating kibble, kibble is going to create a more dry body, and so they're going to be searching for water. I don't promote a kibble diet as a pet health coach, but if that is something that you have to do, make sure that your animals are at least getting distilled water, that they have access to that, because it's going to improve their health as well. And when animals' health is improved, and I say this all the time, y'all, when animals' health is improved, your life is improved in so many different ways. And so we need to make sure that we are thinking about and taking care of our animal friends as well. So different ways that you can remineralize your water is you can get some Celtic or Celtic, however you want to say it, sea salt. You can use pink Himalayan salt. And then something that I like to use, and I use this a lot with my pet health coaching, I use it a lot with the health coaching that I do in the office with humans, is I use either Spectramin, which comes from a company called Energetics, or I use CT Minerals. And the CT Minerals comes in a little capsule, but you can open that capsule up and put it in the water. So if you feel like you need to remineralize, CT Minerals from Cellcore or Spectramin from Energetics, those are fantastic products. They are high quality products, and they're not going to be full of junk and synthetic that you're going to find at the grocery stores and some of the like big box stores. So if we're going to do this, if we're going to improve our health, we need to be thinking through as many things as possible, including the water, including the things that we are consuming, which would include, if you're going to remineralize your water, what you're putting into it. So there's several different ways to do that. Again, you can use Celtic or Celtic sea salt. You can use pink Himalayan salt. And then there are products out there like Spectramin and then also CT Men that are available as well. There's also a recipe that you can look up online. And basically what you do is you take an old jar and you fill it full of either pink Himalayan, or you could use Celtic salt, and you fill it full of water. I would put distilled water in there. And then what you can do from there is get you a little teaspoon, and after it sits for a while, that entire jar will remineralize, and you can dip that teaspoon in and then put that water in your water. So that's another way that you can remineralize water as well versus having to do it each time. I've done both of those things. They do work very well. But like I said, now my health is in a place that I'm getting my minerals from my food, which is where minerals should come from and not from our water. So drinking non-remineralized distilled water does not bother me whatsoever. But I do understand if you feel like you need to do that, those are some different ways that you can. For our animal friends, I don't remineralize my water at home for them. And that's just because they are on raw diets. I don't have them on kibble. And so they are getting their minerals from their food, which is where they should be getting it in the first place. And they do fantastic, y'all. I have a cat at home who I changed the water, and when I changed their diets, and she went from having a very puffy belly down to she's doesn't have a puffy belly anymore. And it's all because of taking these small little steps where we are improving their health slowly over time. It's that gradient scale. So those are some different ways and that you can remineralize your water. And another thing that you can do is go look up what the quality of water is in your area. You can get online, you can search that, and there's several different websites that can pull. Typically what you do is you type in your zip code, and it's going to bring up different things that are in your water. I don't know, there's probably some websites I haven't looked in a little bit. There may be some websites that reveal more than others, and I don't know if cities and counties are required to list everything, so just keep that in mind. I don't know about that exactly, but you can go onto those websites and look up what is in my water. I know there's a small town out near where I live. It's about an hour away, and there's a ton of radium in their water, and that's bad news, right? You don't want to be drinking radium. And so doing things like adding distilled water in is a great, easy way that you can help improve your health literally almost overnight. Super simple. So I do recommend, I work very closely with an amazing company, and we will put that link down in the comments below. That information will be included so that you can go to that website and purchase from them if you would like. They are an amazing company. They always are working with us and they're just wonderful. I love mypurewater.com, and we will have our link below so that you can do that and you can order that distiller at my cost. And there are different ways that you can do that. If you need to start out just buying distilled water from the store, that's okay too. There will be some microplastics in there. Yes, I know I'm going to get that question. However, those small microplastics are minimal in comparison to the toxins you're going to be drinking out of tap or spring or RO water, okay? So just know that that is something that you can do, is just start out small, right? Go get distilled water from the store and start that way until you can get a distiller. Another thing that you can use with distilled water is cooking. So if you are going to be boiling something on the stove, if you're going to be making hot tea, if you're going to be making coffee, different things like that, I recommend distilled water. I also recommend that you use old school, I was going to say not a Keurig, that you use an old school coffee pot. And that's because, or if you are going to use a Keurig, you can get online and you can order stainless steel pods. And then you open that plastic pod, dump the coffee or the tea or whatever into that stainless steel one. And then that way when you run your coffee and the distilled water is running through your coffee maker, you're not now heating up the plastic and then putting hot water through it and then getting microplastics in your coffee. So you can get a little small stainless steel one, and that is also another way you can improve your health very easily. Those are just some simple things. Be thinking through the things that you do every day where you can add in distilled water very easily to help improve your health. So what do you do when you're traveling about distilled water? I travel a lot, I fly a lot, and I stay in hotels a lot. And I don't want to drink the hotel water. I also don't want to be using the hotel cups and things like that. So these are some things that you have to think through a little bit. So typically when I travel, I try to find distilled water at the airport once I get, through security. It is getting harder to find. I will say that. A lot of the alkaline waters are coming out, and that's a whole nother podcast, but I'm not on board with alkaline water. Very briefly, the reason is because our stomachs should be super, super acidic, not alkaline. Okay, it's the stomach's job to use the acidity that's there to break the food down, which then changes it into a more alkaline state once it gets into the body and is supposed to be absorbed through the small intestine, etc., etc. So drinking alkaline water makes your stomach more alkaline, which then the stomach cannot perform like it is designed to do, which is creating more stomach issues. Okay, a lot of times the problem with the stomach and with heartburn and things like that is not because the stomach is too acidic. And y'all, I realize that when I say this, it is flying in the face of what is being out there right now, right? That's not the problem. The problem is that the stomach isn't acidic enough, that there's not enough of the correct enzymes, that we've been eating crap for too long, and it has changed the stomach and the acidity of the stomach and the enzymes that reside there. So when you are getting heartburn, there's a lot of things that can be tied to it, but often it's because the food is sitting there and it's rotting. And that's disgusting, number one. But two, that's not designed. So when you're drinking alkaline water, it's making your stomach more alkaline, which it's not supposed to be alkaline. 1 drop of stomach acid should melt a railroad tie. Most people's can't even break their food down. So we've got lots of stomach issues. So don't drink alkaline water. You need to be drinking distilled. When I'm traveling, I try to find distilled water. Like I said, it is getting harder to find. And sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. I understand that you're thirsty, whatever. Got to do what you got to do. Try to still get a better quality water if you can. And y'all, more expensive does not necessarily mean a higher quality water. So do your homework, do your research. But a lot of times what I do is I have my distilled water delivered ahead of time of where I'm going to be staying. So in a few weeks, next week, I'm flying out. I'm going to a conference. I'm going to be gone most of the week. and I want distilled water while I'm there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to order my water ahead of time and have it delivered to where I'm going to be staying so that I have distilled water. And then I often will carry a water bottle with me. Or sometimes I just take the whole dang gallon jug with me, and then I have water all day long of what I need to be using. And so when I go to conferences, I'll take distilled water, and then that way I can make teas and different things. I'm prepared basically with what I need for myself to keep my health up, because a lot of times when we travel, people get really sick, and it's because we're exposed to so many different things. And if there's certain factors that I can control, I'm going to do that. And one of the factors I can control is the water that I'm drinking. When I'm traveling in the car, I will get distilled water, and I either bring it from home, or if I run out, I will, and it's even getting harder to find at convenience stores. But sometimes you can look in the automotive section and they'll have distilled water there. You can also sometimes look in the baby section, and a lot of times there is distilled water there. So just be prepared. Be looking, think outside the box about what you need to do to try to help keep your health on track and keep yourself healthy. So thank you so much, y'all. These podcasts are so much fun to do, and I love being able to share information with you. If there is something you want to hear about or you want to talk about, let me know. There is the number here. There we go. There's a number right here that you can call if you need to schedule an appointment or if you have questions. The human number is on top. And for those that are listening and not watching, the human number is 325-703-6506. And the animal number is right below that. It is 325-267-2625. I keep those separate because in my brain they are separate things. So that's why there's two separate numbers. And y'all, you can follow us right here. These different things right here, we've got a lot of stuff, different cool stuff that we do in the office, and we'd love to have you come and join us. And then here's where you can follow us right here. So you can follow us at Thrive Holistic on Instagram. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. We're also on X. So make sure you follow us, and we can't wait to help you improve your health even further. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Dr. B with Thrive Vision at Thrive Holistic. Bye-bye.